Nora sat on the edge of her bed, fingers trembling as she clutched the worn photograph. It was a snapshot of a life that once felt whole, a sunlit picnic by the lake, laughter echoing through the trees. In the picture, she and Ethan wore smiles that spoke of promises made, dreams shared, and a love that seemed unbreakable. Yet, it was that same photograph that now felt like a shackle, binding her to memories she had fought so hard to escape. 3 years had passed since the divorce, and Nora was beginning to find her footing again. She had thrown herself into her work as a graphic designer, transforming her pain into art. Her little apartment was a sanctuary filled with vibrant colors and bold designs, a stark contrast to the muted gray of her past. But as she placed the photo back in its drawer, a familiar pang of jealousy twisted in her stomach. She was happy for Ethan, who had moved on seamlessly, already living with someone new. Yet, the ghost of their love lingered, and she couldn't help but wonder if he ever thought of her, if he ever regretted the way things had ended. The sound of her phone vibrating on the nightstand pulled her from her thoughts. It was a text from Lily, her best friend and confidante. "Can we meet? I need to talk." Nora's heart raced. Lily had always been her rock, a constant source of support during the darkest days of her divorce. But recently, there had been an undercurrent of tension in their friendship, hushed whispers, knowing glances when Nora mentioned Ethan. Was it possible that Lily, too, was harboring secrets? "Of course. Is everything okay?" Nora replied, her fingers hovering over the screen. "I'll explain when I see you." As Nora prepared to meet Lily, unease settled in the pit of her stomach. They met at their favorite cafe, a cozy nook adorned with mismatched furniture and the rich aroma of coffee. But today, the atmosphere felt charged, heavy with unspoken words. Lily arrived a few minutes late, her eyes darting around the cafe as if searching for something or someone. Her hair, usually neat and styled, fell in disarray around her shoulders. Nora's heart sank. "Hey," Lily greeted, sliding into the chair across from Nora. "Thanks for meeting me." "What's going on? You seem off." Nora leaned in, her concern evident. Lily hesitated, biting her lip. "It's about Ethan." Nora's heart skipped a beat, a flicker of fear igniting in her chest. "What about him?" "We've been hanging out, just as friends." Lily rushed, her voice tinged with urgency. "You know how we've all known each other for years, right?" Nora felt the ground shift beneath her. "Lily, just tell me, are you dating him?" Lily's silence spoke volumes. It echoed the last breaths of their friendship, the threads of trust unraveling before Nora's eyes. "I can't believe this," Nora whispered, her voice breaking. "You knew how much I struggled to move on. How could you do this to me?" "Please, Nora, it's not what you think," Lily pleaded, tears glistening in her eyes. "We've only hung out a few times since you two split. I never meant for this to happen." "Never meant for what to happen?" Nora's voice was laced with bitterness. "To fall for my ex-husband? It's complicated," Lily exclaimed, her voice rising above the cafe's chatter. "Ethan has been there for me and we just connected." Nora recoiled as if struck. The words stabbed deep, reopening old wounds she had thought healed. "You knew how much I loved him. How can you sit here and tell me you've connected with him?" Lily's eyes softened, but Nora could see the conflict within them. "I didn't choose this. It just happened." "Just happened," Nora echoed, disbelief flooding her. "That's your excuse? After everything? You're supposed to be my best friend." The air between them crackled with tension, every shared moment now tainted by betrayal. Nora stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. "I can't do this," she said, shaking her head. "I need time to think." As she stormed out of the cafe, she felt the weight of shattered trust pressed down on her. The world blurred around her, and the laughter and chatter of other patrons faded into a dull roar. All she could hear was the echo of Lily's voice, a haunting reminder of a friendship that may never recover. The walk home felt endless, each step heavy with the weight of betrayal. Nora could feel her heart racing, a mix of anger and heartbreak threatening to consume her. She had shared everything with Lily, her fears, her hopes, her darkest moments in the aftermath of her marriage. To think that her closest confidant had crossed such a sacred boundary was a wound too deep to bear. Once inside her apartment, Nora slammed the door, leaning against it for a moment to catch her breath. The comforting colors she had painted on the walls suddenly felt stifling, the vibrant patterns mocking her with their joy. She needed to distract herself, to escape the chaos swirling in her mind. Flipping on her laptop, she opened her design software, attempting to immerse herself in a project that had once inspired her. But the creative spark was absent. Instead, her thoughts spiraled back to the cafe and Lily's tear-stained face. Each moment replayed in her mind, the weight of Lily's betrayal pressing down harder. As she sat there, the hours blending into an indistinguishable haze, memories of Ethan flooded her mind. She remembered the day they first met. His easy laughter, the way he looked at her as if she were the only person in the room. Those early days had felt magical. Yet the shadows of their marriage lingered like a storm cloud, reminding her of the reasons they had parted. Yet, in all her reflections, she couldn't help but wonder about Lily's feelings. How could her best friend, someone who had been there through thick and thin, suddenly find solace in Ethan? Was this all some twisted form of betrayal? Or was there a deeper connection between them that Nora had never seen? Hours slipped away, and finally, she decided to reach out to Ethan, her fingers hovering over the keyboard as she contemplated her next move. What would she say? "Hey, I just found out you're dating my best friend. Let's chat about it." The thought felt absurd, but there was a flicker of resolve within her. She needed answers. Just as she opened a new message, her phone buzzed, shattering the silence. It was Lily. "Nora, please, can we talk? I need you to understand." Nora's heart raced at the message, torn between anger and the lingering affection for her friend. She stared at the screen for several minutes, battling with her emotions. "I need time," she finally replied, pressing send and closing her eyes as if blocking out the world would make the hurt dissipate. Days turned into weeks, each one dragging on painfully. Nora avoided Lily's calls and texts, immersing herself in work and the comfort of her art. Yet, every social gathering she attended was a reminder of what she had lost. Friends whispered and exchanged knowing glances, as if the betrayal was a shared secret. One evening, while attending a gallery opening, she spotted Ethan across the room. His presence sent a rush of mixed emotions flooding back: anger, love, and a deep sense of loss. He seemed to radiate confidence, chatting and laughing with others, completely unaware of the turmoil in Nora's heart. Nora felt her pulse quicken as she approached him, her heart racing with the knowledge that this confrontation was inevitable. "Ethan," she called, her voice steadier than she felt. He turned, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Nora, it's good to see you." "Is it?" she replied, her tone sharper than intended. "I just found out you're dating Lily." His expression shifted, concern washing over his features. "Nora, Save it," she interrupted, feeling her emotions boiling over. "How could you, after everything? You knew how much I struggled to move on, and then to do this with my best friend?" "Lily and I are not what you think," he began, but she cut him off again. "If not what I think? It seems pretty clear, Ethan. You didn't even have the decency to tell me yourself." "I didn't want to hurt you," he said, running a hand through his hair, frustration evident on his face. "This wasn't planned. Lily and I have been spending time together, but it's complicated." "Complicated? You think that makes it better?" She shook her head in disbelief. "You've both turned my life upside down. I care about you, Nora, I always have. But Lily and we connected in a way that I didn't expect." His gaze was intense, searching for a flicker of understanding in her eyes. "Connected?" she repeated, bitterness dripping from the word. "You were supposed to be with me. I know that. But things change." His voice softened, and for a moment Nora saw the Ethan she had loved, the man who had promised her forever. "I never meant to hurt you." Nora swallowed hard, fighting against the tears that threatened to spill. "You don't get to say that. Not after everything." The tension between them crackled in the air, an unspoken truth hovering just out of reach. Finally, she turned on her heel and walked away, leaving him standing alone in the gallery. She didn't want to see him anymore, didn't want to feel the pull of their past, a past that had been built on love, but now lay in ruins. Days later, Nora received another message from Lily, pleading for a meeting. Reluctantly, she agreed, knowing that the conversation could either mend their fractured friendship or sever it completely. When they met, the air was thick with tension. Nora's heart raced as she sat across from Lily at the same cafe where their friendship had begun to unravel. "Nora?" Lily started, her voice shaky. "I'm so sorry, I never wanted to hurt you." Then why did you? Nora shot back, her anger resurfacing. Why did you choose Ethan? How could you betray me like this? It was never my intention, Lily said, her voice trembling. Things just happened. I didn't know how to tell you. I thought it was just a phase, that it wouldn't go anywhere. Phase? Nora echoed incredulously. You think this is just a phase? You've been seeing him behind my back. Tears welled in Lily's eyes. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought you were moving on. I thought you would want me to be happy. Nora felt a twinge of empathy for her friend, but it quickly dissolved in the face of her betrayal. How can I be happy for you when I feel like I've lost everything? Lily reached across the table, her hand trembling. Please, Nora, I miss our friendship. I want to make this right. Nora pulled back, her heart aching. I don't know if I can trust you again. You've shattered everything we built together. Silence enveloped them, heavy with unspoken words. Finally, Nora spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I need time to think. Lily nodded, her expression pained. I understand. Just know that I'm here, whenever you're ready. As Nora walked away, she felt the weight of her decision bearing down on her. Trust, once a foundation of their friendship, lay in ruins. The shadows of betrayal loomed large, and the path to forgiveness seemed daunting. Weeks passed, and the world outside continued to turn. Indifferent to Nora's heartache, she focused on work, pouring herself into designs that expressed her turmoil and anguish. Yet each passing day was a reminder of what she had lost, her friendship, her trust, and the simplicity of a life untouched by betrayal. One evening, while reorganizing her office, she stumbled upon an old box filled with keepsakes from her marriage. Among them was a journal Ethan had gifted her on their first anniversary. The thought of opening it filled her with dread, but she felt a pull toward the past. As she flipped through the pages, memories washed over her, love letters, hopes for the future, dreams of a family. But as she reached the final pages, she noticed something unusual. A series of entries dated just before their split, filled with confusion and uncertainty. I can feel him drifting away, one entry read. There are nights when he's distant, and I wonder if he's hiding something from me. Her heart raced. Had Ethan been unfaithful long before their marriage ended? The thought was unbearable. A new layer of betrayal cutting deep. She needed answers that would either break her heart further or provide a semblance of closure. Nora decided to reach out to Ethan again, determination fueling her resolve. Can we meet? She texted, her heart pounding, as she pressed send. The cafe where they met buzzed with activity, but for Nora, the world outside faded into a blur as she waited for Ethan to arrive. When he walked in, the air shifted, and her heart raced with anticipation and dread. Thanks for meeting me, he said, taking a seat across from her. His eyes were wary, as if bracing for a storm. I've been reading my journal, she started, her voice steady. There were things I didn't realize before. He shifted in his seat, concern etched on his face. What did you find? There were entries about feeling distant. I can't shake the feeling that you are hiding something from me even before the divorce. Her voice trembled, but she pressed on. Were you seeing someone else? Ethan's expression hardened, the weight of unspoken truths hanging heavily in the air. Nora, Just tell me the truth, she interrupted, anger bubbling to the surface. I deserve that much. He sighed deeply, running a hand through his hair. I didn't cheat on you, but I was emotionally involved with someone else before our marriage ended. I struggled to admit it, even to myself. The confession hit her like a physical blow. She felt the walls around her heart close in, suffocating her. So it wasn't just about Lily. You were already moving on, while we were still together. I never meant to hurt you, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. I was confused, lost in my feelings, but I didn't think it would turn into this. Nora's vision blurred as tears welled up. What do you want from me, Ethan? You've shattered my trust. I thought we were building a future together. We were, he insisted, leaning forward. But things got complicated. I needed space, and when I found Lily, it felt like a connection I didn't expect. I thought it was a way to heal. By dating my best friend, she whispered, feeling the betrayal wash over her like a cold wave. Please understand. No, Ethan, I can't understand. She stood, feeling the weight of the conversation pressing down on her chest. You've hurt me too deeply to make this right. As she walked away, she felt a sense of finality. Ethan's shadows would no longer haunt her. The path ahead might be lonely, but it would be hers to navigate. In the following days, Nora focused on herself, determined to rebuild her life piece by piece. She dove into her work, creating pieces that reflected her journey from heartbreak to healing. Yet, despite her determination, the questions about Lily lingered, creating a rift she couldn't ignore. The world around her shifted, and friends began to choose sides. Some reached out to support her, while others leaned toward Lily, creating a chasm she hadn't anticipated. Nora felt isolated, trapped between the pain of betrayal and the remnants of a friendship that once defined her. One evening, while out with a mutual friend, she overheard a conversation that sent her spiraling. "Have you heard? Lily's been telling people that she and Ethan are serious now. It's like they think they can just replace Nora." Nora's heart sank. She had hoped that with time, both she and Lily could find a way to heal, but hearing that made her realize how deep the betrayal ran. A fire ignited within her. She wouldn't let them rewrite her story. Determined to confront both Ethan and Lily, Nora arranged a meeting. It felt like stepping into the ring for the final round, and she steeled herself for the emotional toll it would take. At the same cafe where her world had unraveled, Nora faced Lily, who arrived looking nervous. Ethan followed closely behind, his expression unreadable. "Thank you for coming," Nora began, her voice steady. "We need to talk about what's been happening." Lily shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting between Nora and Ethan. "I know this is hard for you." "Don't," Nora cut her off. "I've spent enough time feeling sorry for myself. I want to know how this happened, how you two could betray me like this." Ethan opened his mouth to speak, but Nora held up a hand. "No excuses. I deserve honesty." Lily looked down, tears glistening in her eyes. "Nora, I never meant for this to go so far. It was supposed to be a friendship." "Just like our friendship was supposed to be?" Nora shot back. "This isn't just about you and Ethan. You've damaged our bond in a way that can't be easily repaired." Ethan cleared his throat. "Nora, I know I messed up. I should have communicated with you instead of letting this happen." "Communicate?" Nora laughed bitterly. "You both thought you could just sneak around and keep me in the dark? That's not how friendship works." Tension hung heavy in the air, and Nora felt a mix of anger and heartbreak coursing through her veins. "I thought we were better than this. We were a team. And now I don't even recognize either of you." After their heated confrontation, Nora felt a shift within herself. The anger that had simmered beneath the surface began to settle into a quiet determination. She realized that her healing didn't depend on forgiving Ethan and Lily, but on reclaiming her own narrative. Days turned into weeks as she focused on herself, pouring her energy into her work and rediscovering the joy she had lost. She began to make new connections, exploring new friendships and opportunities that sparked her creativity. But as she moved forward, she couldn't shake the feeling that something still lingered, some unresolved tension that bound her to Ethan and Lily. One night, while working late at her studio, Nora received a text from an unknown number. "I have something you need to see. Meet me at the old park." Her heart raced as she contemplated the message. Could it be a prank? Or was it someone trying to draw her back into the chaos of her past? Against her better judgment, she decided to go, curiosity piquing her interest. As she arrived at the park, the shadows stretched long under the moonlight, casting an eerie glow over the familiar path. A figure emerged from the darkness and Nora's breath hitched in her throat. It was Ethan. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, a mix of anger and confusion swirling within her. "I didn't send the text," he said, his voice low, "but I needed to talk to you." "I don't want to talk to you, Ethan. Not now." She turned to leave, but he stepped closer, desperation in his eyes. "Please, just hear me out. There are things you don't know. Things that go deeper than what happened between us." Nora hesitated, torn between her anger and a curiosity that refused to fade. What could you possibly say that would change anything? "I found something," he said, pulling out a folded piece of paper from his pocket. "Something that changes everything." Nora's heart raced as Ethan handed her the paper, her hands trembling as she unfolded it. Her breath caught in her throat as she read the words scrawled on the page. A series of texts exchanged between Lily and someone else, revealing a deeper connection and manipulation she never anticipated. "This isn't just about you and me," Ethan said, urgency in his voice. "Lily has been playing both sides. There are things she hasn't told you." Nora felt her heart sink as the implications settled in. "What do you mean?" "There's someone else involved, someone from our past. Lily has been hiding things that could change how you see everything." With that, a chilling realization washed over her. The threads of betrayal were tangled far beyond her understanding, and it was time to confront the truth. Determined to get to the bottom of the deception, Nora decided to confront Lily one last time. She needed clarity, not just for her sake, but for the fragile remnants of their friendship. When they met at a neutral location, Nora felt the weight of unspoken truths pressing down on them both. "I know you've been hiding something, Lily, and I need to understand why." Lily's expression hardened, but Nora pressed on. "Ethan showed me evidence, texts that reveal you've been manipulating things behind the scenes." "Manipulating?" Lily scoffed, but the uncertainty in her eyes betrayed her facade. "You think you know everything?" "I don't think. I know," Nora asserted, her voice steady. "This isn't just about you and Ethan anymore. There are shadows lurking that go deeper than betrayal." As Lily hesitated, the silence stretched painfully between them. "There's a reason I got close to Ethan. It wasn't just about him. It was about us." "What do you mean?" Nora's heart raced. But before Lily could respond, a loud crash echoed outside the cafe. They both turned, startled, as chaos erupted. A group of people burst in, their faces masked with intent. Nora's instincts kicked in. She grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her to the side as they dove under a table. The air was thick with tension, and Nora's heart pounded in her chest. As chaos erupted around them, Nora realized that the stakes had risen far beyond her personal conflicts. The shadows of betrayal had given way to a deeper danger, one that threatened everything she had fought for. With the commotion growing louder, Nora and Lily exchanged glances, an understanding passing between them. In this moment of crisis, their shared history and pain felt insignificant compared to the fight for their lives. "Are you ready to face this together?" Nora whispered, her voice steady. Lily nodded, determination igniting in her eyes. "Whatever it takes." As they emerged from their hiding place, they worked together to navigate the chaos, confronting the source of danger head-on. The confrontation brought them closer than they had ever been, forcing them to set aside their differences for survival. In the heart of the storm, they discovered the strength within themselves that they had long overlooked. The bond of friendship, though frayed, began to mend in the face of adversity. After the chaos subsided, Nora and Lily stood amidst the remnants of their shattered world. The weight of their shared experience loomed large, and in that moment they both knew they had to confront their past and the choices that had led them here. "Can we start over?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nora felt the flicker of hope reignite within her. "We can try, but it won't be easy. Trust takes time." As they stepped into the light of a new day, Nora felt a sense of closure and renewed determination. The shadows of betrayal were still there, but they no longer held power over her. Months later, Nora found herself standing in her studio, surrounded by new creations. The pain of betrayal had transformed into a catalyst for her art, allowing her to explore emotions that once held her captive. In a moment of quiet reflection, she realized that healing was not about forgetting the past, but about embracing it, transforming the shards of broken trust into something beautiful. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but she felt ready to face whatever came next. As she stepped outside, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a warm glow over the horizon. Nora knew that while shadows would always linger, they would no longer define her. Please like this video and subscribe the channel and click on bell icon.